It's interesting how recurrent certain elements are. She doesn't really dispose of ideas. She'll make a work in the 90s and then remake a version of it in the early 2000s. One side is friendly, open, it's relaxing. You know, people go to the beach for fun, it's amusement, it's leisure. But then on the other side, there's this dark underworld that we're not really aware of. So it's sort of this like subconscious of the beach. And I think as a metaphor in her work, even the works that don't necessarily explicitly incorporate a reference to the ocean or water or the beach, there is that double side where, you know, because it's soft or it's a textile or it's something familiar, there's something really approachable about the work and it reaches out to you, but then there's always something latent underneath it that is more complex and complicated and sometimes a little dark. She's a German artist, born and raised for a time in Kenya, and she loved the sea. I think aquatic characters, animals, they're really mysterious to us. We don't see them regularly. They're hidden. They're under the sea. And I think there's something really interesting in that. She's bringing these characters that reference specific animals into a very visible space. And she's, you know, speaking the language of toys and, you know, cartoons. And she's bringing in sort of playful accessibility to these animals that are sort of mysterious to us. And they kind of, in that way, represent that dark side, that flip side to the ocean. They're also kind of like weirdly alien. They're very distant from our daily experience. They're also like predators or animals that are scary sometimes, things that we feel apprehensive about. That darkness is something that she really brings to the fore in her works. But then making them like into colorful patterns and something that's really soft and gentle. It's like a new way of reading our relationship to these creatures. You know, an octopus has high intelligence. They're aliens. So there's always this mystification around sea creatures. Rules and regulations are referenced. There's a bit of like a transgressive element to a lot of the works. I mean, like in the show here, there's this fence, which is just, you know, symbolic blockade. It just restricts your passage. You know, the smoking lamps, bringing these two different kinds of light into contact. But also, of course, smoking is prohibited. And there's works of hers that include that language that just, you know, makes things private or off limits. And these hands, I mean, they're cut off from a body. They just sort of appear. They're very familiar as like the gloved hands of cartoon characters. So it's strange that they're so immediately recognizable, but unclear like exactly what they're referring to. It's like Mickey Mouse has gloved hands. Like there are other cartoon characters too that have had that disguising the body, disguising a sort of recognizability. They're often disembodied.